As most of you have heard by now, Six Flags CEO Richard Zimmerman recently announced that Six Flags America is closing its doors forever at the end of the 2025 season. Now, it's anticipated that this is going to be the first of, a few or something parks in the chain that are going to be closing down. Now, this park isn't going to be bought by another chain or bought by an independent company or anything like that.
It's just closing down.
Yeah.
For good.
So anytime that you have a park that's closing down for good, that means that all the rides on the property need to go somewhere. And there's only 3 things that you can do with rides at a park that is closing its doors. And that is, it's either relocated within the chain, sold, or scrapped. So we're going to go over all the bigger rides, what we kind of deemed as like the major rides of the park. And we're going to go over what we think makes the most sense, what Six Flags is going to do with each one of these rides. So now, let's get into this video. Let's start with Batwing. Batwing is the Vekoma Flyer, and that thing, let's face it, even if this park was staying open, this would probably have been its last year.
Parks have been closing, Vekoma Flying Dutchman's, and this is the last one left, right?
Yep.
Carowinds closed theirs, Kings Island closed theirs, so we figured it was closing anyways. Either way, we don't see Batwing going to any different park or being sold or anything. We think it'll just be scrapped, just like the other 2 in the what is now the Six Flags chain.
Now we have Cyclone. That's just their scrambler type ride, what you see at every single park and stuff. So I can't really see this really being moved to another park. So I really see it being scrapped or sold. So if there's any small park that doesn't have one, or maybe like a zoo that wants to add a ride or something like that.
They could get a few bucks for it.
Yeah. Now, a quick thing about how we made all our decisions. I think what they are doing is 100%, and I'm not even thinking, I'm almost know for sure, every decision that they make is financially motivated. I don't think that nostalgia plays any part in anything.
Nah.
I don't think that there's anything other than, does this make financial sense for the company overall? So that's what we're going by on this list, whatever makes financial sense for Six Flags. Next, we have their Flying Carousel. This is just what your swing ride, your smaller swing ride that you see.
Zephyr rides that are at a lot of parks.
So this thing, much like their Cyclone ride, we think it will be either scrapped or sold. These rides are pretty small, and most parks have them already. So just moving it within the chain doesn't really make sense. But if they can get a few bucks for it, then...
Same thing with Cyclone, like you said.
Yeah.
Just a very common amusement park ride that, some places might pay a few bucks for.
So now moving on to a thing called French Quarter Flyers. These are flying scooters or whatever. And the thing about this ride is that parks have recently put these in. I mean, this isn't an older, carnival type ride or anything they are older. They're based on older rides. But these are newer versions. So I don't see this being scrapped. I mean, I guess there's a possibility it could be sold. But this would be a nice addition to a park within the chain that doesn't have a ride like this. And what we are thinking is that one of the perfect fits for it could be right down the road at King's Dominion. Plop this thing down in the Jungle Expedition area. And because that area doesn't really have any flat rides. It has a few roller coasters.
Yeah, it's got 3 coasters. Well, yeah, it's got technically 5 coasters now, and no flat rides. So yeah, and they wouldn't have to move it far, obviously. I'm sure it'd be pretty cheap to, drive down or do whatever, because King's Dominion's only an hour or so away from America.
Yeah. So I think it would be perfect fit for King's Dominion. Easily painted and rethemed to fit the Jungle Expedition area. So I think that makes the most sense. Next, we have Firebird, which is the very first B&M ever.
Yeah.
So
first B&M coaster ever. It was originally a stand-up coaster.
Basically, we look at this as a total scrap job. It's about 30 plus years old or whatever.
I mean, they renovated it. Like I said, they renovated it not long ago, but it's a very small floorless coaster. What park really is going to be in the market for something like that?
Yeah, something that old. It's nearing the end of its service life. So that thing is heading for the scrapyard, in our opinion. Next up, we're going to have Harley Quinn. This is a Zamperla pendulum ride.
And the giant discoveries or
Yeah. So this thing, not that old, and definitely a ride a thrill flat ride that people seem to really enjoy. We enjoy rides like this. And I was looking, and a lot of parks already have these types of rides in the chain, but one park that doesn't, that could definitely use some investment, but some cheap investment, is Michigan's Adventure. So they might use this as an opportunity to say, hey, Michigan's Adventure, look, we're giving you like something other than like a bench or a garbage can or anything.
Yeah, it's a good way to give something to that park, which obviously famously doesn't get any investments. And it would be obviously really easy because it's a ride that's already in the chain. So it would be a nice just addition to that park, and all the locals that go there will be like, new ride, and it'll be exciting, and it'll be very easy for the chain.
Now we have High Seas. This is their rocking boat ride, which a lot of parks have. Much like some of the other carnival type rides, we're saying that this will either be scrapped or sold to a smaller park. Not much really to say about that. We have Professor Screamore. This is their SLC. Now, obviously, an SLC is not going to be relocated to any park. We see this thing completely just scrapped, except for the new trains, because just, a couple of years ago, they got new trains?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of parks that get SLCs. A lot of parks, not necessarily in the U.S., but like...
Overseas? Okay.
Yeah, in China, like every park. I know they're not technically manufactured by Vekoma, most of them, but I think that could be possibly relocated with the new trains. Not relocated, sold, I mean.
Sold, okay.
Sold because, it's a lot of parks around the world like getting those SLCs, and it's a new, like you said, new trains and all that. So I think there's a possibility that it could be sold.
Okay, if you sell to an overseas park or something. If not, then they might take advantage of the fact that Michigan's Adventure, look, we're bringing them up twice in one video. They're going to they could use some new trains for their SLC. So if they're not able to sell that coaster, then maybe move the trains over and give Michigan's Adventure two little bits of investment.
Or they could just use those trains for parts for something.
Yeah, like because Darien Lake just got the similar trains. Their SLC.
They're doing that, yeah.
But I don't think that they're going to need new parts. I mean, the trains are pretty new. They just put them on, I think, last year or something like that. Moving on to their Wild Mouse coaster, Ragin' Cajun. Now this, oddly enough, we've passed over a couple like bigger coasters and said that they're probably going to be scrapped. A Wild Mouse, I could really see that being relocated or sold. The only problem with the relocation is I just cannot imagine which park would get it. I racked my brain.
Yeah, like what park would be like
within the chain,
Yeah, within the chain would be like, look at this, we got, a brand new Wild Mouse, an older Wild Mouse.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a park like Cedar Point got a Wild Mouse, but a new version. But this is not a newer version, so.
Yeah, it would have to be a park that doesn't get a lot of investment, and a park that they can feel like might get a little bit of a return.
And a park that doesn't have a Wild Mouse, because a lot of parks do have them.
Yeah, so that one was a tough one. I could really see it being relocated and saved. I really don't think it's going to be scrapped, though. I think relocated or sold. I just can't, for the life of me, figure out where it would actually go. If you guys can figure out where Ragin' Cajun would fit in that we can't think of, then please go down and leave in the comments where you think it should go. And while you're down there, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I mean, I assume that most of you are already subscribed to the channel, but if you're not, then definitely subscribe. We are always doing different roller coaster and amusement park content just like this. And I guess I'll use this time to thank all our channel members. Thank you guys so much. You can check out the channel membership in the link in the description. They get things like exclusive videos and pictures, stuff like that. So thank you to all our channel members. Now that I snuck that in there in the middle of the video, I did that real smooth.
Yeah, real smooth.
Like that was a good transition right
Yeah.
there. And now transition from talking about members to a roller coaster that's going to be scrapped. And that is Roar.
Yeah, a coaster that people have been wanting to get the RMC treatment for so many years now, and that's not going to happen because the ride will be gone.
Yeah, it's very difficult to move wooden roller coasters.
Yeah, it is. And it's just for so long this has like been the one coaster that like when people would talk about like what's a coaster in the US or in a Six Flags chain that should be RMC'd, everyone's always said Roar.
Now we're moving on to their recently installed Zamperla Nebulas. Now this thing is definitely going to be moved to another park in the chain because not many parks have these. And it's a nice newer flat ride. And now just recently we did our prediction for a 5-year plan for our home park, Cedar Point. And one of the things that we thought that they would be doing in the next 5 years is doing a flat ride package.
Yeah.
And a Zamperla Nebulas kind of got mentioned in that.
Yeah, it did. And because that park really needs, some new flat rides. A lot of their flat rides are just older. So a Zamperla Nebulas, like you said, we already said it would be a good fit. And now they have an easy one that they could just move on over. So we think that would be, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, perfect fit for our home park, Cedar Point, to get the steam whirler. Now, the big old coaster, Superman. Now, Superman is going to go to the scrapyard. That thing is an older Intamin coaster, and we know that Richard Zimmerman isn't a huge fan of Intamin as it is.
Yeah, there's zero chance that it's going to get relocated to another Six Flags park. Very, very, very little chance that it'll get sold. I mean, I don't know who would buy it. So
it's a very odd layout on top of that.
Yeah,
so it's like
because it's over water, so it's just they have a lot of room to work with, and a park would need a lot of room to put that in, and it's an aging Intamin roller coaster. So yeah, I think we will soon be down to one Superman clone because Ride of Steel at Six Flags America will be scrapped.
Another ride that we could see scrapped is Voodoo Drop. This, I believe, is an Intamin drop tower, which those have started to kind of be torn down anyway. I think that's what, wasn't Carowinds, their drop tower?
Yeah, they had an Intamin, yeah. Good. Like Canada's Wonderland has an Intamin drop tower. Great America has one.
Yep.
Yeah, a few parks have them, but again, Intamin.
Yeah, and they're older. And I mean, I don't know about capacity, but they look like they might be a little bit lower capacity than some of the other drop towers. But either way, Voodoo Drop going to the scrapyard. Now, Joker's Jinx. Now, this is just an outdoor clone of the Flight of Fears and then also Poltergeist.
Fiesta, Texas, yeah.
So this thing, it's an old LIM technology. That's an old launching technology that was replaced pretty much by LSMs. So LIM coasters are very expensive to operate and maintain. So definitely don't see a coaster like this being relocated or anyone really wanting it. So because they have a few other coasters similar in the chain, could definitely see the coaster itself being scrapped and then some of the other parts, like for trains and stuff, being sent to Kings Island, Kings Dominion, Fiesta, Texas.
Yeah.
Any place that might have the clone ride that could use parts like that. So Joker's Jinx going to the scrapyard. Now we have Wonder Woman. This is a giant star flyer. These are basically just big swings that go like 200-300 feet in the air or whatever.
Every Six Flags parks, for the most part, has a Star Flyer.
Yeah.
You've seen them before.
Yeah, that's at most Six Flags parks. And Cedar Fair parks always got like the Windseeker models.
Yeah, Cedar Fair had Windseeker, Six Flags had the Star Flyer.
But interesting enough, Valley Fair, a Cedar Fair park, had a Star Flyer.
Yeah.
So they were the only park. So I don't know why they had a Star Flyer. But anyway, we were looking. I mean, this thing was only built, I think, in 2017. And these things are a couple $1 million. So they're not cheap investments. So definitely think that this is perfect for a relocation. And since, like we said, most of the parks already have them, there's a couple standout parks that do not have any of these. Magic Mountain and Great America. And both of those are huge parks in the chain. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, coin flip, take your pick. I think something like that would be really nice at Magic Mountain. You get the views.
Yeah, because they have the big observation tower, obviously, by Tatsu. But yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain is one of the prettiest views from the park. So I think that would be a great fit, and you get some great views on top of it. So I think it would make a lot of sense to go to Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Yeah, or like we said, Great America, that maybe is like a dark horse or something like that. So,
yeah.
But definitely see that ride being relocated instead of scrapped, just because of the fact that it is so much money and it is so big. So, and a couple parks could use something like that. And last but not least, this ride was really talked about by a lot of people. And I think people, for nostalgia, think that this thing is going to be saved and just moved to another park. But it's an old wooden coaster. I think it's like the fourth or something oldest operating coaster in the United States or in the world or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But this is Wild One. But unfortunately, this thing isn't being moved. Like we said earlier with Roar, it's very hard to move wooden roller coasters. Only a few that I can think of, like Phoenix at Knoebels was moved. Skyliner at Lakemont Park was moved at one point. Like very few wooden roller coasters are moved. You have to take board by board and just move the entire thing and then build it all over again.
That's one of the things about Phoenix that everyone talks about, is how it's been relocated a few times, I think. So it's definitely a very uncommon thing. And we don't see that happening with Wild One.
Yeah, like we said earlier, everything done is going to be financially motivated, not nostalgia motivated or anything like that. I don't think that Richard Zimmerman really cares that it's the fourth oldest roller coaster in the world or anything like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that thing is even close to being safe. That thing is going to, I don't know, maybe they'll sell like the wood pieces or something since it's old and nostalgic to people or something. And gives them a chance to make more money. Who knows? But anyway, that is it for this video. Like we said earlier, leave comments down below, everything that you think about what we said, and give your opinions. We would really like to hear it. And anything else to add before we end this video?
No.
All right. So that is it from us here at Beach Cliff Studios. See ya.